Welcome back to City Scene. We're continuing our show this evening regarding this year's Camarillo Celtic Festival on April 27th. And now we're going to spend a few minutes with some of the other performers at this year's festival, members of the Gold Coast Pipe Band. And we're going to talk a little bit with John Thomas and Bill Bedeker. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
There's probably no other instrument that says Scotland or Celtic music like the bagpipe. And it's a very unusual instrument as well, with pretty much an unmistakable sound, at least to me anyway. So how did you, I'm talking to John, I guess, how did you get into the instrument and how long have you been playing it?
Well, I got into the instrument when I took a trip to Canada, where my grandparents used to live, and my grandfather actually owned a set of pipes, but he never actually learned how to play them. And so after he had passed away, we were going to clean out the house, clean out the attic, get the house ready to sell, and we came across the pipes that he once had, and also a book on how to play them. And I thought, well, how do these things work? Because like most people, it's kind of an odd instrument.
Right.
And so I started reading, and I thought, it'd be really neat to learn to play these things. And so I met up with a local band, and they taught how to play the pipes, and I was able to perform with them.
Wow, how long's that been now?
I've been playing the pipe for almost 11 years now.
Wow.
So you say you picked up a book, you didn't learn
Well,
from a book.
I started through the exercises using the book and trying to guess my way through it because I didn't know quite how it was supposed to sound. But when I met up with a band, they actually taught. They taught for free lessons as long as you'd perform with them.
Huh. What about you, Bill?
Well, again, it's a grandfather kind of thing. My grandfather used to take me to the Highland Games when I was a kid, and there were Highland Games all over the state.
Right.
But he took me, and I wound up gravitating over towards the pipers and not going to see the athletics and some of the other things. And I wound up spending the day listening to the pipers. And he bought me a practice chanter, the same deal. And I, like John, I went through the book. And it's so hard, you can't do it by the book.
Right, I
You have to
can't
have someone to
imagine.
I
teach
can't
you.
do anything with a book.
Yeah. And I thought this would be fairly easy. I play a lot of other instruments, and I can teach myself this. Couldn't do it.
No
A little
way.
bit different.
What's so
So I found
different?
a teacher.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very different.
It's
And
very
the music
different.
is not played the way it's written.
Right.
There are a lot of things that are a little different about these.
So how long ago did you guys form the band?
In 1999, February 99, we started Gold Coast Pipe Band.
So what, I guess, I mean, I wouldn't think you guys are playing the usual gigs that a lot of bands are playing. What are some of your venues that you guys are typically at?
We do a lot of weddings. Our band plays for weddings, funerals. We'll do military functions out at the military bases that are local
okay.
here. We've done, Bill and I have both done burials at sea, actually. Those are some of this
Is
more
that
interesting
right?
places.
Wow.
Like military burials or civilian
Yeah.
burials?
Civilian burials, but militarily we'll play for dining ins and dining outs, different formal military occasions. And St. Patrick's Day is also one of our bigger
I'm
days.
sure.
We play at bars and pubs that are located in Ventura, and we'll play all night.
And we have.
And we have. and we're kind of, our ears are ringing and our lips are sort of sore.
Because
from all
these
those
are
hours of
loud
playing.
as well.
Yes,
Quite.
they are.
Quite
Very
loud.
There's
I-
one volume, and it's loud.
Exactly.
I measured the decibels on it once, and at ear level, it's about 110 decibels.
Wow. Do you
so-
plug your ears at all? You
For
wear
practice, we
earplugs?
do,
We
yeah.
practice
Okay.
with plugs.
Okay. Wow. So do you compete? Does your band compete? Do you
This-
enter competitions?
This band doesn't because we're still fairly new. It takes a number of years to work up to competition level. It can take 5, 6, 7 years to do that. And we've only been around about 3 years. But we have in other bands competed. And this band is working towards that. So we're
Wow.
still growing.
So how many members are in this Gold Coast Pipe Band?
We've got about 8.
8?
And you've got how many bagpipes in the band?
3 working on another couple more.
Okay.
We teach also. And we've got 3 or 4 students in the works that are working their way in.
Oh, wow.
And we had our
Creating a
newest-
legacy there. Huh?
Yeah,
Now, are there only men playing bagpipes?
absolutely not. One of the people in
Oh,
the band,
okay.
we have a woman who's in the band.
I don't think I've ever seen a female bagpiper.
She's off on maternity leave. She'll be back when She gives birth to a new little piper.
Kind of hard for those
Yeah.
Bagpipes, would you?
Let her get off on that
Yeah,
excuse.
and on St. Patrick's Day, we had our new 11-year-old who's working his way into the band, too.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
So all shapes and sizes.
Terrific.
So are there different types and categories of pipe bands? Or is it all just the same? I mean,
Yes, there's typically four grades. You would have grade 1, which would be world class. You'd be rated at the top. There's just a handful of those that exist throughout the world. And you have grade 3s, 2s, and 4s. And grade 4 would be like a hobby, if you're into it as a hobby. Even a grade 3, it's still, you kind of do as an amateur hobby type. And we haven't competed as a band, but we would probably say that we're a grade 4 at this point, and that we would compete to then try to get the higher standing.
I know we've got there's a new commercial out that we've seen for the Celtic Festival, and you seem to play a prominent role in there. Must know the director or something. But I guess you kind of showed up for the commercial, and they kind of the dancers kind of asked you to play, so you weren't necessarily ready to play any specific tune. Is that hard, or is that how it is with most of the places you guys play?
Normally when we're asked to play with dancers, it's more we want to play at the right pace, and so depending on the type of dance that they're going to do, it will depend on what song we want to play for them, and so that's sort of the coordination that has to be worked out. Also, younger dancers tend to take smaller hops than tall or
That
older
happens all the time. Don't even.
than older dancers. They tend to land a little bit later, so the
Right.
timing has to be,
very much.
not that they're taking off or anything,
Right.
it's just
They leap
short
higher,
hops.
so it
They
takes
leap
more
higher,
time
it
to
takes
get
longer.
there.
And so we want to make sure that we're playing at a comfortable pace so that they're comfortable while they dance.
Right. Well, it's hard for me not to notice that you did bring some bagpipes with you. So why don't you kind of take a minute to show us how these babies work here?
Sure.
They're kind of interesting.
We're going to hear them too?
Yeah, they're probably not
Almost.
playing yet.
Okay.
We're going to be playing.
Okay,
Not quite.
play it,
We'll
okay.
be playing. We'll have some gals dancing for you to close out the show, so stay tuned for that. That'll be real fun. But right now, John's just going to kind of show us.
This is actually, this here is the Scottish Highland bagpipe, and it's actually comprised of 5 pipes and a bag. The first pipe is the blowpipe, and it's how you blow the air into the bag, and then you have 3 drones, and they kind of hum in the background. They just sort of drones on, and that's how they got their name. And they don't change in note. They are just a constant note. The last pipe is the actual, what we call the chanter, and it is where all the melody comes from. It's where we actually would finger and create the notes that make the song. And it's also what is the loudest. It has a reed very similar to an oboe reed, and it's very strong, very hard reed. And so it takes a lot of pressure to get it going.
So does most of the sound come out of the ends of the pipes?
Yes, there's sound comes out of the tops of each of these drones, and then the sound also comes out through the holes of the chanter.
Very interesting looking instrument.
Yes, it actually it's developed over time until it looked this way.
So what's the history of the bagpipe? I mean, how long's it been around? And
They started off in northern Africa, the Iran, Iraq area.
Really?
2,000 years ago.
wow.
And as
So
the
it's not-
Romans
it's not-
came,
Oh, so it wasn't
as the Romans
Scotland,
came west, they dropped them off. Bulgaria has pipes, Germany, Sweden, Spain, they've all got a type of pipe. And then they came further west. The
But they're
British
not
Isles
really
and up to-
played that much in those countries anymore, are they? Or are they?
Not quite like this.
So the pipes
But
have
the-
evolved then?
Yes,
The
they
instrument
have.
has evolved
Yeah,
plenty?
and they've added different drones over the centuries, from 1 to 2 to 3.
So is this a bagpipe now? I mean, this is what they all look like that are being played today?
No, only
Oh.
in Scotland do they look like this.
Oh,
They look
really?
very different in Bulgaria and,
Okay.
and Germany and some of the other places. They look different, they sound different. They can sound like charming snakes in some countries.
So it's not like
Different sounds.
comparing a Gibson to a Fender guitar or anything like that. It's just a
No,
whole
no, not at all.
Huh.
They look and sound very different.
Wow.
And they've sort of stayed there in those particular areas.
More like
But
a
we can
violin
learn.
and a cello, as it would be different.
Right.
Well,
So what's next for you guys after the festival?
No, we-
Anything, do you have any performances or anything scheduled in the lineup?
We've got a couple of weddings coming along. We have a Kirkin of the Tartan, which is a Protestant ceremony in Santa Barbara, coming up right after that.
oh,
We typically play at the Pierpont Inn most of the month of December,
Oh,
Oh,
really?
So,
Like a regular?
a regular. And we
Wow.
played at one of the local pubs in Ventura for about a year and a half every month.
wow.
So we've
Well-
always got things going on.
That's maybe,
Once again, we run out of time, but
Yeah.
don't go away because to close out our show, we're going to come back and have the guys, the whole band, or most of the band that's here, and we're going to have some of the gals out here dance for you, so stay tuned.
Not all firefighters were doing that. Some were honoring some of their own today. Today, a special ceremony to honor 6 Santa Barbara City firefighters who are retiring. Family members and friends came out to the Carriage Museum by the waterfront to help the celebration.
It's a big event for us. We try to do it annually, and we like to get the retired guys back together with the active duty guys just to kind of keep the family together. It's real important for us, and there's a lot of tradition in the fire service, and this is a big part of it.
These 6 men have dedicated their lives to the Santa Barbara community, fighting fires for more than 25 years. Along with honoring the retirees, the fire bell was rung and a prayer was said in remembrance of Mark Allen, a retired fire captain who passed away this past year.
Here comes a tram. Hey, Bill, tram. Ooh. Right there.
I'm really happy I'm not the only one here in a dress. Turn around, you'll see what I mean. It's a joke, you'll get it later. Hi. Have a good day. Hi, Alan.
Scotland to Russia and Western Europe. The next performer.
Backlit like crazy, that's the only problem. That's right.
On the festival stage, will you please welcome the LAN District Pipe Band?
Scotland, everybody remembers. And now the Gilly Kellen, or the Sword Dance.
Good job, Pat. Man, I don't get nervous anymore.
Are we taking our stuff back up to the van?
Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to Adelphia's coverage of the 1999 Camarillo Christmas Parade, brought to you by the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District and the City of Camarillo.
And here's our first parade entry, the Ventura County Sheriff's Mounted Color Guard. The Color Guard has been active and highly visible in the award-winning group for the Sheriff's Department for the last 3 years. Leading the group is Senior Deputy Elmo Sharan.
We're about to be entertained by the Gold Coast Pipe Band, so our second pipe band of the afternoon. Consists of bagpipers and drummers. They wear the full Highland dress, Jim. They play for weddings, funerals, and military and community events. John Thomas is in charge of this entry. Jim, have you had a chance to make it back to the old country?
No. Actually,
just thought I'd check.
No, well, I'll tell you, Carlos, while we're listening to the Pipers, my wife and I will celebrate 40 wonderful years together next September.
Well, congratulations.
And we're going back to the old country.
All right.
Going to Scotland, England, Paris, hopefully get to some of the Alps, and then down to Rome and back through Barcelona and home.
Oh, my. You'll have to tell me all about it.
I shall.
Let's enjoy the sounds of the Gold Coast Pipe Band.
The entertainment capital of the world, this is the 1997 Hollywood Christmas Parade, hosted by Bob Eubanks and Lisa Gibbons. Tonight we have many of Tinseltown's most popular stars joining Grand Marshal Tom Arnold to ring in the holiday season, including Stephanie Powers, Kate Mulgrew, David Anthony Higgins, Catherine Hicks, The Simpsons, John Clark Gable, Ed McMahon, Connie Stevens, Weird Al Yankovic, Tia and Tamara Mowry, Frankie Avalon, Ernie Hudson, Steve Allen and Jane Meadows, Santa Claus, and many, many more, as Hollywood celebrates the spirit of Christmas. The 66th annual Hollywood Christmas Parade is produced by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce and KTLA Television. And here are your hosts, Bob Eubanks and Lisa Gibbons.
Hi.
Hey.
Happy holidays.
Here we go. Lisa Gibbons, I'm Bob Eubanks, and we're here to present the rainy version, should I say, to the world of the 1997 Hollywood Christmas Parade.
This is an historic event tonight. In 66 years of doing this parade, it has never rained.
Never. But it is.
But I tell you what, the floats are here. You can hear the bands are here. The crowd is out on the streets. We've got the horses. The whole thing is going to happen. We're going to put on a great show for you.
El Nino has arrived. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah, somebody didn't get the memo that it never rains in California.
But there is something for everyone on this parade. Just take a look.
United States Marine Corps there carrying the opening banner for our parade this year.
Aren't they wonderful, though? Representing the instructor staff of the 2nd Battalion, 23rd Marines, headquartered in Encino, California, Sergeant Americo DeLorco and William Whitaker. Happy holidays and a big Semper Fi, guys.
And let's hear it for the Boise State University Keith Stein Blue Thunder Marching Band.
Weren't
Their
they neat?
smiles are in place.
By the way, speaking of children, my granddaughter Tyler Ann is 10 years old today. Happy birthday, Tyler Ann. And I wanted to say hi to Casey and to Cole and to Kelly. I got 4 grandkids, and they are just wonderful.
And you must be the world's best granddad.
I try real hard to be a good granddad.
I bet you are.
All right, look at here. This group is making their very first appearance in the Hollywood Christmas Parade. They're the Clans of the Highlands Massed Pipes and Drums. As the name implies, this group consists of several different pipe and drum bands who have joined forces. I could talk about them for a long time, but the best thing to do is just listen to this wonderful music.
Not the best of days to be wearing a traditional kilt, I wouldn't think.
No,
The
I don't
knees
think
are
so either.
feeling some pain right now.
There's a lot of chicken skin, isn't there? The clans represented are the R.P. Blackbird and Sons Pipe Band from Redlands, the Los Angeles and District Pipe Band, the San Clemente Drums and Pipes, and the Glendora High School and Alumni Pipe Bands, all from California. They come together, and boy, are they something special, huh? You know who is excellent also playing bagpipes? Glenn Campbell.
Oh, does he really?
Oh, and he's so good at it.
It's pretty hard to do, I understand.
This year, nearly 40,000 women will die.
This is our opportunity to pay our respects and to honor them. More than 1,200 of them are buried here on these grounds. You can see the flags behind me.
Full military honors today in Westlake Village as a community there pays tribute to the first soldier from Thousand Oaks to die in combat in Iraq. Channel 4's Fernell Chapman was there. He has details now on the services today. Fernell.
Anthony Malia graduated from Thousand Oaks High in 2005. He joined the Marine Corps, was sent to Iraq, and was killed. Today, he was buried. It was a military funeral for a fallen Marine, a 20-year-old from Thousand Oaks. Lance Corporal Anthony Malia was killed while on foot patrol in Anbar Province in Iraq.
It was amazing coming down from the house to the chapel here and seeing everyone lined up on the street with their flags and everything. Everyone stops work, stops whatever they're doing to witness that. It's really amazing.
Amazing and at times emotional. Hundreds of local residents lined the streets as the funeral procession passed by. Many held flags and banners. Others posted yellow ribbons, all as a show of respect and support for the family of the young Marine who was a star athlete at Thousand Oaks High. Those who took part say it was a touching tribute to a young man who made the ultimate sacrifice.
It just shows how many people Anthony's touched and how their lives have changed just because they know him. Shows how big of a hero he was, how brave he was.
I think it turned out so big because he touched so many people's hearts that they wanted to be like, I'm here for him because he was here for me at one point in my life.
It touches me, you know. I'm glad to see people out here that do support the military service members, you know, that have died in combat.
His friends say a special tribute is being planned for Anthony Malia right here at his alma mater. Live at Thousand Oaks High, I'm Fernell Chapman, Channel 4 News.
Here in Southern California, the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks is being remembered with a number of memorials to those who died. Channel 4's Robert Kovacic has more.
Ceremonies are taking place throughout the day here in Southern California. 2 of them have just finished. A tribute here at the Culver City Fire Department to honor fallen New York City firefighters and police officers, while in Glendale, a remembrance ceremony was held in front of each fire station in that city, including this one.
The sound of bagpipes filled the air in Culver City as residents and law enforcement there stood side by side to remember 9/11. Similar tributes are taking place in communities all around Southern California today. In Manhattan Beach, a memorial to the victims and first responders. 2 15-foot steel beams from the World Trade Center now stand as a permanent memorial at the southwest corner of 15th Street and Valley Drive.
Good morning, I'm Frank Buckley. Today marks the 6th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. We'll have live reports from both Washington and New York.
And good morning to you. I'm Michaela Pereira. The Southland plans a number of 9/11 observances. Eric Spillman will have a live report from one of our local fire stations.
Also, we're awaiting a verdict in the Phil Spector murder trial.
Live
Jamie
from Hollywood,
Chambers.
this is the KTLA Morning Show.
And good morning. It's September 11th. I think as people are waking up this morning, you can't help but ask yourself, you know, where was I at this time on this day 6 years ago? I think it's something that people will be asking throughout the day. The Southland is remembering the 9/11 attacks with events planned throughout the day. Eric Spillman is in Culver City with more on that. Good morning, Eric.
Morning, Frank. We're at a fire station here, and there was a ceremony here that just ended a few minutes ago that kind of typifies the type of ceremony that you see happening at fire stations across the country. Firefighters and police officers gathering to remember the 3,000 people who died on that day 6 years ago today, and specifically the actual firefighters and police officers who died in New York City trying to help the victims. The ceremony here ended just a few minutes ago. There was the traditional bagpipes playing Amazing Grace, a moment of silence. The color guard lowered the flag to half-staff here. There were no speeches, no politicians, just a solemn ceremony to remember the victims here. We are now 6 years past 9/11, and there was recently a New York Times article that posed the question, how many 9/11 tributes are enough? There's a debate on that subject, with some folks saying the time has come to kind of tone down the commemoration, that maybe our country is suffering from 9/11 fatigue. We spoke to one of the firefighters here who helped to organize this ceremony here this morning, and we got his opinion on that subject, whether it's too much. Here's what he had to say.
To me, when the president called this the Pearl Harbor of the 21st century, I think it was true. This was a disaster that no one in my generation has ever seen, and if we forget it, then we dishonor all the people that lost their lives.
And of course, what happened here at this fire station today, one of many, many, many ceremonies taking place throughout Southern California on this 6th anniversary of 9/11. Frank and Michaela.
Thanks, Eric. Good morning, I'm Frank Buckley. Today marks the 6th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. We'll have live reports from both Washington and New York.
And good morning to you. I'm Michaela Pereira. The Southland plans a number of 9/11 observances. Eric Spillman will have a live report from one of our local fire stations.
Also, we're awaiting a verdict in the Phil Spector murder trial.
Live
Jamie
from Hollywood,
Chambers.
this is the KTLA Morning Show.
The Southland is remembering the 9/11 attacks with events planned throughout the day. Eric Spillman is in Culver City with more on that. Good morning, Eric.
Morning, Frank. We're at a fire station here, and there was a ceremony here that just ended a few minutes ago that kind of typifies the type of ceremony that you see happening at fire stations across the country. Firefighters and police officers gathering to remember the 3,000 people who died on that day 6 years ago today, and specifically the actual firefighters and police officers who died in New York City trying to help the victims. The ceremony here ended just a few minutes ago. The traditional bagpipes playing Amazing Grace, a moment of silence. The color guard lowered the flag to half-staff here. There were no speeches, no politicians, just a solemn ceremony to remember the victims here. We are now 6 years past 9/11, and there was recently a New York Times article that posed the question, how many 9/11 tributes are enough? There's a debate on that subject, with some folks saying the time has come to kind of tone down the commemoration, that maybe our country is suffering from 9/11 fatigue. We spoke to one of the firefighters here who helped to organize this ceremony here this morning, and we got his opinion on that subject, whether it's too much. Here's what he had to say.
To me, when the president called this the Pearl Harbor of the 21st century, I think it was true. This was a disaster that no one in my generation has ever seen, and if we forget it, then we dishonor